Welcome to today's reflection. In Buddhism, the mind is often compared to a garden that we tend to every single day, whether we are aware of it or not. Just like a garden, our mind grows and changes, blossoming or overrun with weeds, based on what we nurture. Each thought, every memory, and every emotion we experience is like a seed planted deep in the soil of our consciousness. Some seeds bloom into beautiful flowers of peace, joy, and wisdom, while others sprout into stubborn weeds of anger, jealousy, or fear. This analogy is a powerful one because, as gardeners, we have control over what grows in our minds. We may not always be able to control the weather or external conditions, but we are the ones who decide which seeds we water, which thoughts we feed, and which ones we let wither away. Just like a skilled gardener who knows the importance of cultivating the soil, we too must tend to the garden of our minds with care, patience, and wisdom. But this is where it gets tricky. Unlike a physical garden, we can't always see the seeds we are planting. And sometimes the weeds of negative thoughts and emotions grow so subtly that we don't even notice them until they've overrun our minds. So how can we become the mindful gardeners of our own inner landscapes? How do we begin to choose which thoughts we allow to flourish and which ones we must uproot? The first step is awareness. We must become mindful of what we are focusing on. Do we spend our days dwelling on past mistakes or worrying about things we cannot control? Are we constantly feeding thoughts of fear, anger, or resentment? These thoughts, like weeds, will grow and choke the beautiful flowers of peace and contentment we are capable of cultivating. Alternatively, do we choose to nourish thoughts of compassion, gratitude, and forgiveness? Do we make space for joy, love, and inner peace to take root? In Buddhism, we are reminded that what we focus on shapes our reality. Our thoughts create the experiences we have, and the quality of our lives is determined by the quality of our thoughts. When we nourish kindness, we invite peace into our lives. When we cultivate mindfulness, we open ourselves to deeper understanding and wisdom. When we water gratitude, we attract abundance and contentment. But if we focus on negativity, we attract more of the same. If we focus on the flaws and faults in ourselves or others, we only breed more dissatisfaction and frustration. The beauty of this garden is that we are the ones who decide how we tend to it. We have the power to make choices. We can choose where to place our attention. We can choose whether to water the thoughts that lift us up or the ones that drag us down. We can choose to focus on what is right, beautiful, and noble. Or we can choose to dwell in the darkness, feeding the weeds of fear, judgment, and hatred. In every moment, we have the opportunity to reshape our inner garden. If we notice a thought of resentment or anger growing in our mind, we can pull it out by the root before it has a chance to spread. We can replace it with thoughts of forgiveness and compassion. If we notice ourselves dwelling in fear or anxiety, we can bring our focus back to the present moment, where peace and calm reside. This is not an easy task, and it takes practice. But like any gardener, the more we practice, the more skilled we become. In the Buddhist tradition, the practice of mindfulness is the tool we use to become more aware of our thoughts and to cultivate a peaceful mind. Mindfulness allows us to observe our thoughts without judgment, to notice when negativity arises, and to choose how to respond. It's not about suppressing our emotions or pretending everything is okay. Instead, it's about acknowledging what is happening in our minds and choosing how we want to relate to it. Through mindfulness, we can learn to recognize the seeds of negativity before they take root. We can observe the weeds of anger or frustration and gently uproot them, replacing them with seeds of patience, understanding, and compassion. Over time, this practice transforms our minds, turning them from chaotic jungles into peaceful gardens. Another essential teaching in Buddhism is the concept of impermanence, or the understanding that all things, including our thoughts and emotions, are temporary. This is a powerful insight for gardeners of the mind. When we remember that everything, both good and bad, is transient, it becomes easier to let go of negative thoughts. Just as a garden goes through cycles of growth and decay, so too do our thoughts. No matter how dark or heavy they may seem, they will pass. And just like the garden, the cycle of growth and renewal continues. What we focus on grows. If we choose to focus on love, gratitude, and peace, we will find that these things grow in abundance. If we allow ourselves to focus on bitterness, anger, or regret, we will cultivate more of the same. So what are we watering today? Are we tending to our inner garden with care and intention? Or are we allowing the weeds of negativity to take over? In conclusion, the garden of our mind is not just a metaphor. It is a living, breathing space that reflects our thoughts and actions. As the gardeners of our own minds, we have the power to choose what we plant, what we water, and what we allow to grow. With awareness, mindfulness, and compassion, we can transform our inner landscape into a peaceful and harmonious space. So take a moment today to reflect on the seeds you are planting. What are you nurturing in your mind? What will your garden look like tomorrow? The choice is yours. In today's fast-paced world, we often find ourselves weighed down by things that no longer serve us. Think for a moment. How much of your energy is spent holding on to past regrets, grudges, or worries about the future? How often do you find yourself replaying events that happened long ago or constantly planning for things yet to come? These mental burdens can feel heavy, like a constant drag on your spirit, making it difficult to move forward. But what if I told you that there's a way to release this weight? A way to let go of these emotional shackles and experience true peace in your life? This practice, this wisdom, is rooted in the teachings of Buddhism, and it's called non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean that we become indifferent or disconnected from life. It doesn't mean that we stop caring about the people, things, or experiences that matter to us. Rather, it means that we stop allowing these things to define us. It means we choose not to let them control our emotional state. We learn to accept life as it is, without desperately clinging to it or trying to manipulate it. This is a radical act of freedom. You see, the Buddha taught us a profound truth. Suffering doesn't arise from the events of our lives, but from our attachment to them. It is our tendency to cling to the past, to try to control what's out of our reach, or to fear what's yet to come, that causes us suffering. The moment we become attached, we lose our peace. We become prisoners of our own minds, trapped in cycles of regret, fear, and desire. But imagine for a moment, just imagine what it would feel like to let go, to no longer be tied down by the past or obsessing over the future. Imagine releasing the grip you have on your thoughts, your feelings, and your circumstances. What would happen if you stopped clinging to the stories you've told yourself about who you are or what you should be? When we choose non-attachment, we create space. Space for peace, space for clarity, space for the beauty of the present moment. Instead of dragging around the weight of all our past experiences and fears of the future, we begin to live freely, unburdened by the things that have held us back. But non-attachment isn't just about letting go of the past or future. It's about being present with what is. It's about embracing each moment as it comes, without judgment, and without fear, without expectation. It's about finding peace in the simple act of being. Let me ask you, right now in your life, what can you let go of today to find greater peace? Maybe it's an old resentment that you've been holding on to for years. Maybe it's an unresolved issue with someone you love, or an unattainable goal that's been eating away at your soul. Perhaps it's the constant mental chatter, the worries about what might happen tomorrow, or what didn't happen yesterday. Whatever it is, ask yourself this: is holding on to this attachment bringing me peace? If the answer is no, then it's time to let go. Release it. Give yourself permission to live free from the weight of these attachments. This isn't a process that happens overnight. It's a practice, a way of being. You won't suddenly wake up tomorrow and find that all of your attachments are gone, but every small step you take toward releasing them will make a difference. With every thought you let pass without grasping onto it, you are creating space in your heart for something better. With every emotion you allow to flow through you without holding onto it, you are opening the door to freedom. Non-attachment is not about rejecting life, but rather accepting it for what it is. It's about learning to flow with life instead of struggling against it. When we stop trying to control everything, we discover the profound peace that arises from simply being present, simply being here. The Buddha once said, "The root of suffering is attachment." It's not the things themselves that cause us pain, but our attachment to them. When we let go of these attachments, we allow ourselves to experience life more fully. We become more connected to the world around us, more compassionate toward others, and more in tune with our own true nature. So I invite you to reflect on this teaching today. What attachments are you holding on to that are no longer serving you? What can you let go of in order to embrace the present moment with more peace and clarity? By practicing non-attachment, you are not only freeing yourself, but you are also opening your heart to greater joy, to a deeper sense of connection with the world around you, and to a life that is less burdened by fear and regret. You don't need to wait for a perfect moment to begin this practice. You don't need to be in a special place or have a quiet mind to start. All you need to do is decide right now, in this very moment, that you are ready to release what no longer serves you. Let go of the attachments that weigh you down and make space for peace. The freedom you seek is already within you, waiting to be uncovered. And remember, the key to this practice is not perfection, but consistency. Every time you choose to let go, even in the smallest of ways, you are cultivating a peaceful heart. A heart that can embrace life as it is, without fear, without regret, and without attachment. This is the power of non-attachment. So take a deep breath, let go of the tension in your body, and open yourself to the possibility of living a life that is free from the chains of attachment. Embrace this moment fully, for it is the only moment that truly exists. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the pressure to control everything around us. We spend so much of our lives trying to manage what's beyond our reach: our past, our future, our relationships, even our emotions. We chase after outcomes, believing that if we can just fix this or change that, then everything will fall into place. But how often do we find that the harder we try to control, the more we spiral into anxiety, frustration, and exhaustion? The truth, as Buddhism teaches, is that our suffering is born not from the events themselves, but from our attachment to the illusion of control. We hold on to memories of the past like they're chains, and we grip tightly to the uncertainties of the future as if we can shape it with our will. But the reality is that so much of life is unpredictable. We can't control the ebb and flow of the tides, and we can't control the actions of others, nor can we control every thought and feeling that arises within us. And yet, here's the beauty of it. True peace doesn't come from trying to control every aspect of our lives. It doesn't come from perfection. True peace, as the Buddha teaches us, comes when we surrender the need to control everything. It comes when we recognize that we can only truly control one thing: the present moment. And in that moment, we have the power to choose where we direct our attention. The practice of mindfulness invites us to turn inward and become aware of what's happening right now. Our mind, like a restless monkey, often wanders. It jumps from one thought to another, from worry to anxiety, from regret to anticipation. But in the quiet moments, we have the ability to gently guide it back to the here and now. Buddhism isn't about forcing the mind into submission, but rather about recognizing the nature of our thoughts and learning to observe them without getting swept away. When we acknowledge the power we have to focus our attention, we begin to take back our freedom. Think about it. Every time you catch your mind wandering into the past or the future, you have the chance to bring it back, to return to the present moment. With each breath, each step, each action, you are making a choice. Will you choose to dwell on what you cannot change, or will you choose to nourish what is within your power to shape? This is the practice of mindfulness. It is not about perfecting the mind or controlling it, but about gently guiding it, moment by moment, back to its natural state of awareness. The mind is like a garden. If you water the seeds of anxiety, fear, and regret, they will grow into thick, tangled weeds. But if you water the seeds of peace, gratitude, and kindness, your garden will flourish. The more you choose to focus on what brings you peace, the more that peace will grow in your life. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of life, the deadlines, the demands, the endless lists of things to do. But in the midst of all that, we can always find a moment to pause, to breathe, and to choose where we place our attention. The more we practice this, the more we begin to realize that we are not the victims of our circumstances. We are not bound by the things that happen to us. We are the creators of our experience. And the canvas we are painting is always the present moment. Every moment of every day, we are given the gift of choice. We may not be able to control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond to it. We can choose to hold on to our worries, or we can choose to release them. We can choose to hold on to resentment, or we can choose to let it go. We can choose to focus on the things that fill us with peace, or we can let our minds wander into the chaos of what we can't change. This doesn't mean ignoring the challenges of life or pretending that everything is fine when it's not. It doesn't mean repressing our emotions or pretending that we don't feel pain, but it does mean that we don't have to let those emotions control us. It means we can hold our pain and our joy with equal grace, recognizing them for what they are, temporary visitors passing through our minds. The practice of Buddhism teaches us that suffering arises from our attachment to things as they are or as we want them to be. We cling to our desires, our expectations, and our need for control. And in doing so, we become entangled in a cycle of dissatisfaction. But when we let go of that attachment, when we embrace the flow of life with acceptance and presence, we find freedom. We find peace not by controlling everything around us, but by accepting the impermanence of everything. So today I invite you to reflect on this. What is it that you're trying to control? What worries, regrets, or fears are you holding on to? Can you gently let them go, even just for a moment? In this very instant, you have the power to choose where to place your attention. You can choose to focus on your breath, on the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat, on the sensations in your body. You can choose to focus on the present moment, free from the weight of the past or the burden of the future. What will you choose today? In the busy swirl of life, we often forget the most profound truth that we already possess what we need for peace and fulfillment. We rush, we plan, and we chase after future goals, believing that happiness lies just ahead. But what if I told you that the secret to inner peace lies not in what we achieve or where we go, but in how deeply we experience the present moment? Mindfulness is not just a practice, it's the core of Buddhist teachings. It is the gentle art of being truly present, not thinking about what happened yesterday or worrying about what's coming tomorrow, but simply being here right now in the moment you are living. It is about noticing the little things we often take for granted. The sun warming your skin, the rustle of leaves in the wind, the aroma of a meal, the breath you take. Each one is a doorway to peace. Imagine for a moment waking up in the morning and simply taking a deep breath. The air fills your lungs and you notice the quiet stillness that surrounds you. Maybe you hear the distant hum of the city, or perhaps it's the chirping of birds. Whatever it is, this moment is yours, and mindfulness teaches us how to fully embrace it, without judgment, without distraction. We stop ourselves from thinking about what's next or what we missed, and simply say, this moment is enough. The Buddha once said, when I eat, I eat. When I walk, I walk. These words may sound simple, but within them lies a powerful truth. The act of eating becomes more than just nourishing the body. It becomes an opportunity to connect with the present. As you savor each bite, you taste the richness of life itself. When you walk, every step is a meditation. Every movement of your body, the sensation of your feet touching the ground, is an invitation to experience the world fully. In today's world, we are constantly distracted. Our phones beep, our schedules demand attention, and our minds race in a million directions. But mindfulness challenges us to slow down. It encourages us to let go of the chase and instead embrace the beauty of being still. Because in stillness, we discover the depth of our existence. We discover that peace is not something to be attained, but something we can access right now. This practice of mindfulness is not just about sitting in quiet meditation, though that is important. It's about weaving mindfulness into every action, no matter how mundane. When you brush your teeth, feel the coolness of the toothpaste. When you wash your hands, feel the water rushing over your skin. Let each task become a moment to reconnect with the present. By doing so, we stop living in the past or the future and start living in the only time that truly exists, this moment. We've all heard the expression, the present is a gift, but how often do we treat it as home instead? We often spend our lives looking beyond the horizon, waiting for something better to come along. But in Buddhism, we are taught that the only true happiness comes from fully experiencing the present moment. It is through mindfulness that we learn to appreciate life as it is, without constantly striving to change it. Imagine a world where everyone took a moment to pause, breathe deeply, and truly experience life in its fullness. How different would our days be if we were present with ourselves, our loved ones, and the world around us? How much richer would our relationships be if we truly listened to each other without distractions? How much more peaceful would we feel if we stopped chasing after what's next and simply embrace the life we have now? Mindfulness is a practice that requires patience and dedication, but its rewards are immense. It's not about achieving perfection. It's not about always being calm or never feeling stressed. It's about creating space for yourself to exist in peace. When you practice mindfulness, you learn to let go of the need for control and allow the world to unfold as it is. You become a quiet observer, aware of the beauty and suffering that coexist in every moment. Through mindfulness, we cultivate the ability to choose where we place our attention. We realize that we are not our thoughts. Our thoughts may come and go, but we are the one observing them. We can choose to hold on to thoughts that nourish us and let go of those that harm us. This is the essence of Buddhist wisdom, to be fully present with what is, without clinging to the past or grasping for the future. In every moment of mindfulness, we reconnect with our true nature. We let go of the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and simply exist as we are. And in doing so, we come to understand that true happiness is not something we find outside ourselves. It's something we create from within by being fully present. So let's embrace mindfulness. Let's choose to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to savor the beauty of life in this moment. Let's stop chasing after an ideal life and instead live the life that is right in front of us. The miracle of mindfulness is not in reaching some distant goal, but in realizing that the peace we seek is already here, within us in the present moment. As we close today's reflection, I invite you to take a moment to pause. Feel your breath. Notice the sensations in your body. Let your thoughts settle like dust in the wind. Allow yourself to simply be. In this moment, you already have everything you need for peace.